What is up guys, Cody here, and welcome back to some more Napoleon Total War. So today we are on Borodino. This is going to be a 3v3. So Deadly for You sent me in this replay, and he and his allies are going to be in command of the French. And facing them are the Russians. So this is going to be a historical battle where the French are invading Russia, and Borodino is one of the cities they're going to try and control. So rules for this battle were no fixed artillery. Other than that, they can bring whatever they want. So you guys are going to see a wide variety of troops and a large amount of artillery pieces. So taking a look at the map, you see there are some river crossings. The Russians do control the town section of the city, which makes sense. They are defending. And they do have this massive hill, so the Russians are going to be definitely prone to camping, and that is definitely what they need to be doing, especially going up against a very experienced Russian army. So first shots start off, 20-pound unicorns attacking the French artillery and actually downing two guys, so first two losses of the battle. But Deadly's going to be pushing up. He notices these guys are on the hill, but he does not care. He's going to try and get into close quarter combat and try to get in range. You can see one of the Russian armies are actually going to be taking control of the city. A lot of troops here. You see he's brought a lot of Jaegers, and it seems like everyone has brought unicorns. A wide variety of cavalry. So taking a look at Deadly's army as he's getting pounded by artillery, starting in the front, bringing a very small light force consisting of 1 6th Regiment and 1 Voltigeur unit, or excuse me, 2 Voltigeur units. In front of that, we have some Fusiliers, National Guard, the 18th Regiment, the Brave, very nice, some more Fusiliers, and some more militia. Taking a look at his howitzers, or artillery, he's brought 2 6-inch howitzers, and then some cheval, and then also a general staff. So that is his army. He actually has some more troops over here. These guys are elite, so a lot of old guard and young guard in this file. And he's going to be aiding his ally on the right flank. So looks like everyone's going to be pushing up at the moment. And it looks like there's going to be a small forced engagement here between some 17th Jaegers and some chasseurs, so very good engagement that's about to erupt over there. As for cavalry, for his ally, actually, this is his... he's everywhere on the battlefield. He has some more chasseurs and also some cuirassiers, but they are being heavily bombarded right now and losing a lot of cavalry. So he's going to be falling back, seeing the explosions all around him. But taking a look on the right flank, you see the Russian player, or excuse me, the French players trying to get in range of those Voltigeurs. Or excuse me. Those Jaegers, confusing the armies. That's not good. But the Russian player is going to be shifting over troops of his own, making sure the left flank is secure, and he's bringing a lot of elite troops, consisting of some Lifeguard foot and also some Semenovsky Lifeguard. So very elite troops, and they're going to be backed up by some Uhlans. So here comes the French push. We got the Russian Jaegers crossing in the middle of the field right now. Looks like they will not be able to form up in time, and the French player is going to get the first volleys off. Getting some very nice shots in. But the Russians just going to be walking it off. You see these musketeers also did get shot too, and they lost quite a bit of men. So big push here by the French player. He's actually going to try and charge for the artillery, it seems. Russian player is going to try and form square. We will see if he can make it to that 10-pound unicorn. If he is, it is going to be devastating for these Russians because they put a lot of money into these guys. And if they're off the battlefield already, it is not going to be good. He lost a cuirassier unit. That is not good. Don't know why I spaced that out. Cuirassier. But anyways, the unicorns are in some trouble right now. He has no support. His cavalry's in the far back just watching them die. Very surprised by that. Maybe they took their lunch money or something. They just want to see him die. and let the French have them. Who knows? But anyways, Deadly for You is engaging in the center right now. We got some militiamen and the 18th Regiment engaging. Militia stand no chance, especially with these Voltigeurs and National Guard by their side. We got the 17th Jaegers, though. A little hillside here. Great positioning. And they should do some really good damage to the French player. We got another cavalry charge coming in and finally breaking that unit, and still this Russian cav taking forever to respond. It looks like they're going to respond after that artillery piece is dead. So it looks like they had some beef with one another. But since they are dead, they're going to be charging in now. But the Cheval have pretty much no place to go. They are stuck on the sills, so it looks like they're going to be fighting their way, getting some really good shots in, especially into these musketeers. Musketeers also getting some return volleys in, but taking a couple losses. And great charge here by the Russian player. Taking a look on the far left flank, we have a skirmish engagement across the river here. Chasseurs up against the Jaegers. We have even more Chasseurs pushing up, but look at this cavalry charge on the far left flank, trying to sneak around to the artillery, but this time Russian cavalry was there to stop them from pushing in, and they're going to lose a lot of men. We got the 7E2, and they're getting shot in the back by some musketeers, and that is going to devastate the morale. So as of now, the Russians seem to be doing an alright job. You can see Deadly actually pushing across the river here. Russian player giving some slack and allowing him to cross over. So it's going to be a very close combat engagement. You can see Russian militia routing from those Fusiliers in melee combat. Same as over here, we have some National Guard leading the way as a meat shield unit, and it looks like the rest of the troops are going to be crossing, but explosions all around. A very risky move there through that choke point, because a lot of those rounds could impact and just devastate the ranks of the French. Over on the right flank, though, we have the Old Guard up against the Semenovsky Life Guard foot. So 2 Old Guard up against 3 elite Russian units. This should be a good engagement, but the Cuirassiers are here to try and change the tide of the battle, and they're going to be trying to do some scare tactics here. Not actually charging. Actually, they are charging, but they do form square. Very bad time to charge in. Cuirassiers losing a lot of men. Hopefully, they do change targets to another unit, but this is going to allow the French troops to push up due to them being in square. But overall, the French are just really, really aggressive, and that's exactly what they should be doing, especially trying to take Borodino. You need a lot of force to do it. We have some National Guard engaging the 17th Jaeger Regiment, but they're actually shooting the hill. Not good there, but they are militia, so it doesn't matter too much. Over here, though, Russian Jaegers breaking. Chasseurs and the Fusiliers doing a good job on breaking those guys down, but big cav force on the far left flank, and it looks like the Russians are going to try and do the same what the French were doing beforehand, and that is charge across the river and hopefully take out their artillery. So this artillery over here is in a very bad situation. No cavalry to support him. So they're just going to try and get off as many rounds as they can before they do go out. And it looks like they're doing just that. That unit is just getting destroyed by those howitzer pieces. Over here, the attack is starting to die out by Deadly. He does not have enough troops to keep this push going, and as a result is starting to lose the side of the battle. Over here on the far right flank, too close to call. We have a melee engagement here between the Life Guard afoot and Old Guard. This should be a very good engagement, but the Old Guard do break and their flank is starting to collapse. We have the General Staff here. He's going to try to keep the morale up, but as of now, the Russians are holding firm. Their elite troops on the far left flank are doing a fantastic job of not allowing these French to penetrate. The general going out of his way and trying to do as much damage as possible. Looks like, though, we have taken a building, and that's going to be very significant. We have Old Guard in the building, but look at that. General is dead, going back over the battlefield once more. So that's going to really destroy the morale of the French. But they are still attacking, and they still have some fairly healthy units. Artillery seems to be firing still, even though it doesn't seem like they're doing that much. But on the far left flank, Deadly's now going to be pushing up some more troops, seeing that his ally on the far right flank is suffering. Now, the only issue that Deadly is really facing right now is spacing his troops too far out. and that's going to not allow him to do any significant attacks just because he doesn't have the manpower to do anything. But over here, he's just going to hold his ground and hopefully allow these Russians to attack for once. Just because he's been doing most of the grunt work and pushing up, he's going to take things slow on the far right flank. As for on the far left flank, the artillery in some trouble right now, but they are still doing their job on firing. But here comes the Cossacks charging in, and these poor howitzers, their time has come, and they are about to die. You see, morale is dropping, men are dying, and same as over here. Cuirassiers behind French lines. That is not good. But luckily he does have an old guard unit in this building. But looks like the Moscow Musketeers going to be rushing into this building and wanting to take it back. So they're going to be charging in here. And the old guard getting some really good shots as they do charge in. We also have some Musketeers here charging in. And the Russian player definitely knows how deadly these old guard units can be. So he's going to try and charge as many units as he can in there. Now it looks like the French troops are holding pretty well on the far left flank. They are coming into a lot of conflict, especially with these 10-pound unicorns being as accurate as they are, just dropping the morale significantly. Over here, though, we have some chasseurs caught off guard. Old guard trying to shoot them down, and the general also trying to charge in. And it looks like that's going to do it. So it looks like the Russian cavalry is going to break over there. But over here, we got some more cuirassiers, and they're going to be charging into square formation. Good shots here by the Fusiliers, but this poor old guard unit unable to form square. Not good. That unit is about to break. Taking a look back on the far right side of the battlefield, French lines are being forced to pull back here. And you can see that curve is starting to be formed, showing weak spots in the French lines. So, looks like we have some Emperor's Dragoons charging in. Not too sure who is in command of these guys. But they're going to be charging into the Semenovsky, taking a very brittle volley, and they are going to form square as well. So not a good charge here by the Emperor's Dragoons, but they're going to be running down the line here and charging into a unit that's unable to form square. That's going to do a lot of damage on the flank. Over here, though, more cavalry trying to charge into the French artillery, and they did get them to be fixed artillery, and lost a lot of people. Looks like the French artillerymen very mad, so they're going to be chasing down after this Cossacks. In the center, engagement is very close to call, but it looks like the Russians are doing a little bit better just because of this hill. It is a huge importance to keep this hill, and the Russians are doing a great job at keeping it. Over here, though, looks like the Voltigeurs getting flanked, and Musketeers getting some really good shots in. Another general is dead, and that is the general on the far left flank. So both generals, 2 out of the 3 generals actually are dead. So Deadly's general is the only general left. As for on this flank, though, Russians are feeling the heat right now, especially the artillery piece getting very close to the French line infantry. And these old guard seem to be charging, or at least pushing very, very close to the 10-pound unicorns, and they're getting surrounded right now. Looks like we have some Cheval trying to take out the general. He's going to be trying to run away, but he doesn't know these guys can shoot on horseback, so he's in some trouble right now. He's going to be running for his life. Very cowardice move here, leaving his men to fend on their own. So he's going to be retreating to the shoreline and just chilling over there for a little bit. Now this is going to really hurt the morale of his men, just because without a general, it is never good. I'd rather have a dead general than a general that is a coward. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would agree with me as well. I've got a foot. Actually breaking that Fusilier unit on the other side of the river. And looks like no more French troops on this side, but they are attacking on this side. And they do have some decent numbers. Semenovsky Life Guard charging in. Seems to be out of ammo. Got a good charge there, straight into the Fusiliers. Fusiliers are forming square. But it looks like he's trying his best to protect the artillery. It's only 4 men, but that still means they can still fire a gun. But over here, Deadly is running very low on men, down to his final unit, the 6th Regiment. The rest of his men have broken, but he did a very good job at depleting the Russians as well. Taking a look on this flank, though, everything is going to depend on this side. Everywhere else, it is very, very close to call who will win this. It looks like we have some Moscow Musketeers here trying to charge after the 6-pound horse artillery, but they luckily got away. And over here, we have some more Musketeers, but this time charging into the French artillery. So we will see if these guys can shoot canister and hopefully take them out. Forcing the Russians back, though. This French player is doing a great job at forcing them all the way almost to the red line. So they cannot retreat pretty much any further. And he still has some pretty elite troops. Actually, this is Deadly engaging. So his ally over here is pretty much gone, and he's fighting his allies fight. So great teamwork here. We will see if he can unleash canister. Looks like they're all reloading. I don't think they will make it. And looks like these Musketeers will make it into melee combat. Voltigeurs trying to save their artillery, unlike the French cavalry at the start of the battle. Or excuse me, Russian cavalry at the start of the battle. But it looks like they are going to... Wait a second. What? Alright, I need a... You rewind a couple of seconds, you see a guy flying. That was insane. I believe I can fly. Woo. Anyways, Russian Musketeers continuing to push in. Voltigeurs, Fusiliers fighting a 2v2 right now. But it looks like the Russians holding very well on this far right flank. Even though these are elite troops, the Russians doing a really, really good job. They also have some elite troops, but they are starting to break due to low numbers. So from their point of view, they're going to be shifting over, connecting to their other line unit. And Deadly now starting to run out of ammo. It's going to be charging in to these Moscow Musketeers here. Young Guard against these guys is going to be a good engagement. And Musketeers wanting some more melee action, so they're going to be charging back into the French artillery. French artillery getting a good shot off there, but taking a look on the left side of the battle, left flank of the battle. We got some National Guard up against some Musketeers. Looks like the National Guard are going to break, and actually, this left flank, it seems to be gone. It looks like the French were able to try and overwhelm them, but it looks like the Russians held out just fine. Actually, I don't know. Still can go either way. Morale for the Russians are very bad as well, but these are old guard, so they should fight to the last man. And look at that. First Russian general is dead. We still, actually, I think that was the cowardice general over here. But they did lose the house, and that is to some Musketeers. So 33 against 88. Probably wouldn't charge in there. But like I said, this right flank is just very close. Down to the wire, 2 units against 3. Actually, 2 against 2 now. These old guard just holding out. Still with some pretty healthy units, or healthy men. And here, some more old guard charging into the Moscow Musketeers. 30 against 35. And their numbers are drastically dropping now. 27 up against 26. Who will win? Looks like the morale for the Moscow Musketeers is bad, but so is the old guard. The Moscow Musketeers do break, but so do the old guard. Very good trade-off. 20 men versus 22. And another good clash here. Lifeguard afoot up against old guard. But this time, old guard seem to have about 14 more men than the elite Russian troops, and their morale is suffering right now. 42 against 54. But still, very close numbers, but the old guard do end up winning. Things are not over, though, on this far right flank. Looks like Deadly managed to salvage one of his artillery pieces, and he can still use them against these Musketeers and Simonovsky Lifeguard. You can see his general is in this unit. He is right here, running with his men. Don't see that too often. So thanks, still extremely close. I believe we have 4 Russian units on the left flank. and then 2 on the right. And there are, it seems to be 5 or 6, no, 5 French units left. So stalemate, but you can just see how low these numbers truly are right now. So French artillery going to start unlimbering, it seems. Or maybe not, maybe using them as a meat shield unit. That is a very good move. But over here you see the general staff for the Russians are going to be charging in. We'll see where his general is in desperate need of help. And it looks like we have some musketeers charging into them, but he's going to run away. Does not want to lose his general. But there goes the Voltigeurs engaging those musketeers. These guys are just dropping like crazy, and they do end up breaking. So thankfully those Voltigeurs were in the right place at the right time and managed to break them. Over here, it looks like the Old Guard are going to be splitting off to try and take out the general staff. Meanwhile, the 6-pound horse artillery, not too sure what he's going to be doing here, using them as a meat shield, it seems. And just running them around, trying to waste the ammunition of these musketeers. Very good move tactically for him in Napoleon, but realistically, this would never work. The artillerymen would just get shot off their horses way too quick. But here goes the general staff. They're going to charge in. It looks like the Old Guard getting a couple shots in. Doing some decent damage to the musketeers here. But he really needs to turn around and focus on his general staff. These guys are just saying hello to their Russians here. Just having a good time. But look at this. Another Russian or a French general charging in. But this guy... Actually, is he still alive? Yes, he is. So, it looks like there is still... No, excuse me. There's only one Russian general left. Excuse me, French general left. And that is Deadly's general. So he's going to be charging in to the Semenovsky, and there goes the second Russian general. So both of them have lost 2 of the 3 generals, and actually breaking the musketeers too. Looks like losing that general there ended that unit, and in doing so allowed these Old Guard to not only break them, but also break the Russian general on this flank as well. He's going to be running away. So only 2 generals left on the battlefield, 1 from the Russians and then 1 from the French, and they're going to be chasing down this Russian unit. See if we can locate him. Not too sure where he is in this unit. Let's take a look. There might have been, we'll see. Hang on, let me see. So this is the general. This is him right here, on foot with his men, still not dead. So he is the last Russian general, and he's going to be routing from the battlefields with his men, escorting him away to Moscow to tell him about the French coming. Actually, I don't know. Don't know if the battle for Moscow was before or after this. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me know in the comments if you're still watching this, if the battle for Moscow was before or after this. I think it was after, but I might be mistaken. Anyways, final 2 units. Musketeers left, and they're going to be exiting the building. This is a perfect time for these Old Guard to strike, so they're going to be running in. Very bad morale. But we will see how deadly this charge will be. Both are charging in. And it looks like the Old Guard are going to get the worst. Actually, no. Morale is pretty good still. But now they're going to start losing men. But these guys are just flooding out of this building now. Just trying to charge into these Old Guard, which are not breaking. 24 men. But the morale is starting to drop now. 23 men. It should not last much longer. And they do end up breaking. Over here, though, Voltigeurs pushing up. They do have the range advantage, so we will see if they can pick off some of these Russians. But both have very, very bad morale. But their numbers are fairly high. But here comes the Voltigeurs now pushing in. And also the general. So it looks like Deadly is the only one left on the battlefield for the French. And we will see if he can get any shots in. Looks like the Russians are going to be hiding behind this massive building here. A very smart move here, allowing no losses to take place, but Voltigeurs is going to try and flank around the building. We also have the artillery pushing in. And they're going to be claiming the building, so don't know why the Russian player left his building. It was a very good holding place. He's actually getting shot for his mistake here. Voltigeurs are thirsty for some Russian blood and taking down quite a lot of musketeers. So we're going to fast forward and see what happens. Looks like the Russian player's on the move right now, trying to retreat from the French. But the final stand is here. Multiple Voltigeurs engaging. Great job with the meat shield, with the artillery piece. These guys are just made out of straight steel. They are not dying whatsoever. So good move there. Ooh, inside the building. But just taking a look at the carnage, this battle was just epic in so many ways. From the cavalry charges to the melee charges, everything was just a glorious, made this such a glorious engagement. So Voltigeurs looking to try and flank around a little bit more. We have the French general here just looking at how things are going, and it seems to be going pretty well for the French. So we're going to fast forward some more, see where these guys are headed to, because their morale is still strong and they still have some pretty healthy numbers. But they're going to be retreating pretty far. It looks like to the edge of the map, and they're going to be holding here in this town center. We'll take a look at what they are seeing right now. So they can see the Voltigeurs moving in on their position, as well as the artillery pieces, and they're going to try and hold strong with what men they have left. But like I said, things are still very close. If Deadly cannot take these guys out here, he still has one more unit, and that is the Old Guard. And you see him running once again further away from those Voltigeurs. We will see if any of them do die trying to run away. It looks like all of them do make it to safety. And forming square. Interesting move there. They do get a little bit of an extra or range boost while in square formation. Voltigeurs getting extremely close. Actually a little bit too close for comfort here. Voltigeurs getting charged into. Will they retreat? If not, they're going to lose a lot of men. And here comes the French general now, inspiring his men, trying to keep their morale up. And it seems to be working. But here goes the musketeers. They're going to get some good shots in on the Voltigeurs as they try to run away. Oh, the guy just face planted. But one of the Russian musketeers did break. Voltigeurs going extremely strong with only 6 men, and they're still fighting. Other Voltigeurs going to form up, it seems, and shoot melee. And look at this. Will the canister be the last shot? Looks like it will not be, but Deadly is victorious in this battle. Such a good engagement down to the wire with only 4 units left. Now taking a look at the units, you see the French army is doing a decent job, but Deadly definitely standing out with 1,500 kills. Taking a look at the Russians, though, they also did a good job in getting a couple in the thousands. Taking a look at the unit statistics, Old Guard on top. So they were on the far right flank, helping out the Russian player or French player on the right flank, getting 179 kills and only 70 losses. So this game was just epic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to email me more replays. I'm getting very low, like I said. So message me on Steam and we can get that sorted out. But until then, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later.
Of the past that controls